My name is Amie Osmond-Dreyer. I am originally from Sydney. I was born in Sydney. I went to Coogee Public School until I was about 9, and then I moved to Nimbin, and I moved to Byron Bay, and then I've moved to a few other places, but yeah. And now I live in Mullumbimby. I remember when I was in primary school, and the bus was coming along the road, and we were coming from my house to Nimbin, and so it was a dirt road, and this mother duck started to cross the road with all these little baby ducks behind it. And the bus driver stopped and let us get out and look at, because they were so cute and they were little and fluffy. And we all got out, and then we got back on the bus. And I noticed that a couple that I would have been, I don't know, year 6 maybe, something like that. I noticed a few of the younger kids were like looking at something, and I went down the front of the bus and saw that one of the boys had stolen one of the baby ducks. And I remember threatening that if he didn't give it to me, I was going to punch him. And I don't know if I did, but I remember it because he was like, "You can't take my duck away from me." And I was like, "I'm so taking your duck away from you. And it's not your duck. You just stole it from its mother." Anyway, I managed to get the duck, and I stormed up to the principal's office, which is exactly how I used to do things. It was like, there will be justice done here. And the principal was like, "Well, what can we do about this situation?" I said, "Well, we've got to take it back." He was like, "Oh, okay." So we got into like his white ute in his car, and I'm sitting in the front seat with this baby duck in my lap. I said, "It was around here somewhere." We drove out into the bush. I said, "It was around here somewhere." And then he was like, "We're looking around for like the mother duck." And then I started to go, pretty much makes like this sound. I'm going, "Wah, wah," like that. And then I've got the principal of Nimbin Central going around going, "Wah, wah," looking for this mother duck. And we never found her. So then I took, who then became Stripe, home, and I used to have to get up and feed her like 4 times a night, and my room just stank. It was just feral. And she used to just follow me everywhere. Like everywhere I went, Stripe was behind me. I was mother. And I taught her to swim, and then I taught her to fly, and then she flew off one day, and then she came back once with a partner, with a boy duck, and that's the story of Stripe. But, I'm passionate about my children. I love raising my kids. I'm passionate about my career. I love running the Chrysalis Girls program, and I'm passionate about human relationships. I love interaction. I just love being with people. Passionate about flying trapeze. My calluses aren't too good at the moment. I mean, they're not looking that gnarly, but yeah, I train 3 times a week, and that's something I love. Passionate about motorcycles, horses, art, travel. Hugely passionate about travel. Last year I went to Rajasthan, Mongolia, and the north of Bali in 1 year. So that's, yeah, like I don't have a mortgage. I don't have, amazingly expensive furniture, but I travel a lot. I'm passionate about life experience, living as fully as I possibly can. So I started Chrysalis 8 years ago.
My name's Zara, and I've been in Chrysalis for 1.5 years now. I really, really, really enjoy it. It's helped me through a lot.
Chrysalis has just helped me through many things, so many things, and it's just such a safe place that you can talk and be open.
Chrysalis has just taught me like a whole bunch of stuff. It's taught me how to be happy with who I am, and how to know, it feels good to know that people actually accept you.
start addressing why girls were behaving the way that they were in schools, and also around issues like promiscuity, self-harm, domestic violence, all sorts of things, suicide, and behavioural issues at school. And so I started to write a program myself, and also with Jane McGowan, who's a sexual assault counsellor. I don't know how many people have been through Chrysalis now, but last year it was in 6 high schools across northern New South Wales with 90 girls in that, and then it's been 8 years, so hundreds and hundreds of girls. And it's a holistic counselling program for girls that are at risk, so girls that have been through high levels of adversity or trauma in their lives. So they may have been sexually abused, they may have been, they maybe have experienced the death of a parent or a close friend or something like that. But quite often very intense stories that a lot of other people find difficult to hear. And the program is mainly built around breaking down the idea of hierarchy. So everybody's treated as equals and everybody respects each other and everybody's supported. So it has mentoring and leadership aspects to it, but we cover anger and grief and everything. We cover the whole gamut of life, and we do that through the most dynamic ways that I can come up with, which might be through martial arts, or it might be through using art therapy or drama therapy or whatever.
My dad has helped me with that.
What's happening with your dad?
Well, he's got kidney failure, and it just hurts me because I know that he is the best dad ever, and I love him so much, and I'm just scared of losing him.
I've been in and out of a lot of depression and eating disorders, and
I'm really proud of the fact that the girls love it as much as they do. That can sometimes be even challenging because people from schools don't want girls just turning up to Chrysalis, so I have to sort of put boundaries in place, but if they could, I know a lot of girls would. It's completely voluntary, and we have just such a wide range of girls, which is fantastic. And it is highly successful. Huge changes in people's lives, like on a regular basis. It is just extraordinary. So, and if it wasn't, I wouldn't do it because it's really hard work. Coming home at the end of the day and just going, I dealt with this sexual abuse situation, I dealt with this, then I dealt with that, then there were 3, 4, 5 girls that were crying that needed support that I then had to sit and work with, then I had a parent call me up, then I dealt with a school principal, then I did this, then I did that. Then I went and had to look at a dead body at one point. Then I had to go to an abortion clinic. Then I had to go, all the different things that come into my role. I get called up at 12 o'clock at night dealing with all sorts of things. So it's over the years, but I kind of like that. I like its diversity. I get bored easily, so I like that it's full and it's always different.
I like being able to be open with a group of other girls and hearing what other people have to say and knowing that you're not alone with the things that happen in your life, and that there is just, I don't know, there's so much support at Chrysalis, and I don't know, I just really like it. I think it's a really good organisation.
It feels good to know that people actually accept you and that sort of stuff, and it's just great to go to a place and have everybody love you for who you are and stuff.
And who are you, Jess?
I am Jess and I am gay. And it's fabulous.
When it ends, I'm just gonna have to, I don't know, when it ends it'll be fine, because all this time it's helped me for when I do reach the end. It's helped me for when school's over and I know what I want to do, and this is going to help me through it.
What do you want to do?
You want to cook?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be a chef.
Okay.
Chrysalis is my second family.
Thank you, Chrysalis.
Yeah, I just ran a Chrysalis group, and it was really powerful today. There's a lot going on in a lot of the girls' lives, and so much more than what people realise is actually occurring in people's lives, which is something that I find really amazing when I get to sit down in those groups and just see the things that occur. There's a girl whose mum's on the verge of dying. There's girls in there that today that told me that they were nearly sent off to the adolescent mental health clinic over the weekend. The girls in here who are suicidal. There's all sorts of stuff going on, so much stuff going on. And we did this beautiful exercise today where we were offering each other compliments that were based around our personalities and our self-worth. And you have to walk up through the space and turn and be given these compliments, and these girls have to then say thank you back to the person and try to not focus on physical appearance too much or anything like that. And the whole time everyone just had tears spilling down their faces, because just some of the things that came out of people's mouths was just so beautiful. One in particular were two girls who one girl wasn't able to say anything to the other girl, and the girl just stood there and went, yeah, that's right, she doesn't like me. And that girl, the girl that was dealing with that, just then kept going, and the other girl sort of had to sit there and deal with the experience of that. And then when the roles were reversed, the other girl then had to do it, and she did it. She actually, even after being rejected by the first girl, the second girl then turned around and she just had tears spilling down her face, and she just told this girl about how much she missed her, how much she missed her friendship. And it was just, I just said to her, under such great adversity, when you're able to be open and kind and honest and caring and loving when people are being unkind to you, it's just these moments occur in life. And she walked out of here before just beaming, just absolutely beaming, just because she was able to do that. Her self-confidence is raised so much. It's just such beautiful life lesson work. Yeah, very, very cool. Yes, I'm in a new relationship. I've been married for 14 years in December, and we've got 3 kids together. And I'd just recently been to Mongolia on a travelling expedition to deal with some of my own childhood trauma. When I returned, I felt like, and I'd been with my husband, and when I returned at the time, I thought that because I'd healed some of that, but things would get better between us, and he sort of started to pull away from me, and I couldn't really work out why. And there was a lot of stuff going on at the time, so I sort of gave him space to work that out. And literally within the space of 3 days, he sort of turned to me one day and just said, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. And I was completely and utterly shocked. Like, just, I spent 2 days just crying hysterically, because I just didn't see it coming. And I'd like to pride myself on being fairly perceptive about the way that other people behave, and I just didn't think he would do something like that. Not in that way, not in the way that he went about it, because there was a little bit of, it wasn't particularly upfront. There's trust issues that were broken and stuff. And then 2 weeks later, I found out that my dad, my dad nearly came off his motorcycle. He surfs every day, and he's my best, one would have to be my best friend in the entire world, my father, and who also tried to walk across the Simpson Desert 4 years ago for the Chrysalis Girls program. And I found out 2 weeks after my husband left me that my father had an inoperable brain tumour and is going to die. So those 2 things happened at the same time and were completely overwhelming. I'd already gone through a really difficult year. Like at the end of last year, when we went through the Chrysalis Girls graduation, my colleague Jane McGowan, who has helped, who's been developing this program with me, turned to me and said, "Oh my God, Amie, you've been through such a hard year. I cannot believe how well you've handled it." And then those two things happened, like within a week after she said that almost. It was just uncanny. And I took off to Bali for about 3 weeks. I did a huge personal journey, went on my own, went, can I swear? Went, fuck this, I'm out of here. You can take the kids, I need to process what's occurred. I don't understand what's happening and there's just too much happening. So I just went, no, I'm out of here. You take the kids, I'm going to Bali for 3 weeks. Went off and did very, very deep spiritual work. Spent a lot of time on my own, spent some time not on my own for the first time in about 22 years because I've been married twice. And just realised that, yeah, I had actually been really unhappy and that I just hadn't had the space to realise it, you know, and just to see it. And when I came back, I then found out my dad was really dying and I don't think he'll last this year. It's now May 21st today, I think, and I would be surprised if he's around in September through to December. I don't know, but he's deteriorating very, very quickly, and that's really challenging. And just going through that whole process of accepting death is it's an experience like no other that I've ever experienced before in my entire life, hands down. I just hope I never have to experience it with one of my kids or anything like that. I always touch wood. It's the only superstition I have. To carry around bits of wood in my car. Yeah, and then 2.5 months ago, I'd been out. I do flying trapeze as a hobby. I think I might have mentioned before. And I'd been out seeing a flying trapeze video. At a film festival with my flying trapeze buddies, and I was having a night off without my kids, which I'm not used to doing. I just went, I'm just going to go and have a beer because I can across the road at the pub. And it was still daylight savings and it was all really beautiful and really warm, and I was just sitting there and a couple of guys were trying to chat me up and I was going, oh, this is kind of fun, and just sitting there having a quiet beer, but they were being polite. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I just hear this, Amie Dreyer, like that. And I just looked across and went, oh, Michael Murphy. And he was a guy from my year at school who I went to Byron Bay High School with, and but he was a full jock nerd, like, and I was a cool chick, and I just never, and he was big loud mouth, I just never took any notice of him. He was just like, and it was also in my year, like, yeah, right, like as if you go for anyone in your own year, particularly if you're cool. But I had seen him over the years, and we've always connected because he's got huge energy, really, really big personality, which I find I've never been with anybody who's stronger than me before, which is a whole experience in itself. And to be with a man who's a man, because I'm quite a strong personality type, it's a whole new experience for me. And yeah, and he's just extraordinary. And he has a history of, he's been through a lot. He's been through so much. He's been through so much hardship. I was telling somebody the other day about it and I was crying, just telling the story of his life, and I won't go into it too much because it's his personal thing, but yeah, I haven't come across many men or women at our age, because we're the same age, who have been through so much and then have come out the other side so beautifully, and have done that on their own without chrysalis or without, you know, tons of support. He could easily be a junkie, he could easily be in prison, he could easily be all sorts of things. He's also Papua New Guinean, so he's black, so he has all sorts of things against him in terms of social, just the way that culturally all of those things could be compounded through that as well. And he's just this extraordinary human being. He's just fucking amazing. He just did a practical exam today, and he was, but at the same time, I'm calling him, I didn't realise he was in his prac exam. I'm going through this huge drama with one of my own children, and I called him thinking that he was at home, and he nearly picked up the phone. He's in the middle of his prac exam and nearly picked up the phone and went, no, like, he didn't, but you know, like he's thinking about it because he read a message saying one of my girls wasn't all right, which he really is very, just so beautiful with my children. It's just amazing. And he just sat there talking to her on the phone after he finished his exam, and it's just so beautiful with my babies, and so beautiful with me. And then he called me back later on in the day and just said, I just wanted to ring and tell you that you can lean on me and that I'm here for you and that I'm here for your girls, and I want you to know that. And yeah, it's a very, very special thing to have somebody say that to you in that way when you're going through a lot in your life, and for somebody to be brave enough to step in at a moment. There's not many people who would step in at some point where they know that you've just gone through a divorce, you're on, you know, the rebound of all of that. Your father's about to die, you're the eldest in the family, so there's a lot of responsibility there. You've got 2 kids to 2 different husbands, and they've stepped in just going, I'm here and I want to be here and I just love you. He just loves me so much. I love him so much. And we have so much fun together. We just laugh. Last week's chrysalis, this week's chrysalis, we've been working on self-esteem, sexuality. They've both been pretty fun. It's just amazing what comes out sometimes. I had one girl who shared the fact that her mother was kidnapped by Ivan Milat last week. I've had you know, at another school, like just so many amazing stories that you get to hear. Next week I won't be at Chrysalis though. I'm taking my dad out to the desert on Saturday, so that's going to be really big. We're going out and we'll be travelling at least 2,000 kilometres west into the Red Centre, and we'll be camping out there because he's dying. It'll be our last trip together, which will be really beautiful and very special for me because we always do big adventures together. So we'll be roughing it with the cowboys and spending a lot of time under the stars and drinking red wine and talking and sharing, and probably a fair bit of crying, I would say, which will be beautiful and appropriate. So yeah, I can feel that starting to come round. He's getting sicker and sicker every week that I see him. So I feel very, very blessed to be spending that time with him that's coming up, and we'll be gone for about 8 or 9 days. So no chrysalis next week, which the girls are all very understanding about. Normally when I say no chrysalis, I get this freak out. But at the moment, because they all understand what's occurring, they're absolutely gorgeous and supportive. And I actually got told today as a compliment, one of the girls said, I just can't believe how you can go through so much and then still give so much, which it was a really beautiful compliment. I really went, wow, that's really special that's how I'm perceived in that way. So I just kind of just box on and do what I do. I don't really think about it. If I can't do it, I won't do it. I'll just go, I'm freaking out, I can't do it. But if I'm there, I'm there, 100%. So, the future of chrysalis and where it's going to go. At the moment, we've got Southern Cross University is doing a clinical trial, like a study, and they've, not that I see any of the money, but they've got like $75,000 to really evaluate the program properly. And we've got a number of professors from Southern Cross who will be studying it up until, from I think beginning this year up until 2017. And I'm not sure what will occur after that, but hopefully through that study I'll be able to it'll just open the doors for more funding opportunities and things. So that would be really good. Ultimately, what I'd really like to do is I would love to start creating professional development programs so that other people can run chrysalis. That's a huge, huge dream of mine. I'd like to do more speaking with adults. I'm starting to, it's been 10 years really when I used the experience that I had before then. A long time where I've been working on the front line, dealing with quite high level crisis situations day in, day out, and there's a lot of girls that I give a lot of energy to, and I think I'd like a little bit of a break from that at some point. I think that would be really nice, just to teach adults how to do it, or just take a little bit of time out. So just to make sure that I'm balancing my life in that way. I absolutely love it though. Like I had a group today where one of the girls were doing this gorgeous thing, and they just come in and say, all I've been looking forward to all week is this. And that's just such a common story, and when I sit there and hear that, it just makes all of the days where I go home going, oh my God, that was such a full-on. This girl was raped, and then they've been through domestic violence, and their parents are ice addicts, and I've done, as I said, I've done so many bizarre things in Chrysalis over the years, and looking at dead bodies, and taking girls to abortion clinics, and meeting up with girls late at night, all sorts of stuff. So it's very demanding when I am working, and I love it because I get back that feedback. It's incredibly rewarding. It's very beautiful work, and to see girls change is it's just amazing. But yeah, it is getting to a point now where I'm starting to go, okay, what next? I've really created the program, so it's all there. It's all written, like it's all there. It's easy to put down. So yeah. That's where I would like it to go. I'd like to see it ultimately in all schools. That would be a dream, and that's what most people who are involved in the program, other teachers and students and people who work in healthcare would like too, because they can see how valuable it is, and that it's very rare to have a program that's loved as much as Chrysalis is. It's very, very rare. I don't know, I'm trying to think of in conclusion, I'm really lucky to have the life that I have. I've had an extraordinary life. I'm only 40 years old, and it's just so full. It's been so full. It continues to be so full. Every day is so full. That's the nature of my life, and always has been. Since I was growing up in the forest, riding horses and doing all the crazy stuff, and motorbikes and flying trapeze and having home births on verandas, and having two husbands to two children to two different husbands, on my third marriage at the moment. We'll see how that goes. Just so much. I've travelled the world: Mongolia, Rajasthan, Europe, United States, Canada. I've been to I travel. Just there's not much that I haven't, that I think, oh, I really need to do that because I haven't done it yet. I don't really have that feeling. It's just sort of like, as life unravels, it's now starting to become about things that I go, oh, I'd never have thought that I would be doing this. I didn't even enter my mind that this was possible. So I don't really have much of a bucket list, you'd say. Like if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, where's wood? That's the only thing I'm superstitious about. There it is. Except it's a didgeridoo, which is probably bad to touch, so I have to find somewhere else. Hang on. Well, women aren't meant to touch didgeridoos. That's the only superstition I have, is if I say something like that, then I have to touch wood. I carry around a bit of wood in my car. It's a bit weird, but yeah. If I got hit by a bus tomorrow, that I'd know that I'd be okay. Like I've done a lot. I wouldn't feel regret at all. And I'd know that I would have helped a lot of people, and that's just enormously beautiful, to have touched other people's lives and made an impact in a positive way. So yeah, that's pretty special.